Hey everybody, Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick unboxing and first look at the Microsoft Surface Pro 3. The configuration I'll be unboxing today is the Core i5 with 256 gigs of solid-state storage and 8 gigs of RAM. Priced at $12.99, I believe this is the sweet spot in the current lineup of different configurations for the Surface Pro 3, and that's because it does combine the best hardware, in my opinion, for the money. Keep in mind that you will have to pick up, if you actually want to use this as designed by Microsoft, the brand new type cover, which is priced at $129. So that is an additional accessory that you will really need in order to complete this product. So let me get this out of the box. By the way, it is compatible with previous generation type and touch covers, but they are not made for this device. So they will not completely cover the actual Surface Pro 3 for those of you that are looking for the best possible fit and finish, nor will it have the advantages that the new type cover has, which I will get into in another video altogether. But there you see it. We've got a brand new aspect ratio, a larger screen size, lighter weight, higher resolution, improved cameras both on the front and back. We now have 5 megapixel still and 1080p capture on both sides. And really what this tablet computer hybrid, unlike previous Pro generations, has been at least expected to do is truly replace at least Ultrabooks, and that's why Microsoft has pit this directly against the MacBook Air. So 1.7 pounds in change for this device, very thin, very light, and that is impressive, especially when you think of the Surface Pro 3, or Pro 2, I should say, or original Pro 1, lending a lot of its looks from the Surface 2, in my opinion, the silver finish to say the least. Let me go ahead and get this out of the plastic, and already I can tell you I'm blown away by how lightweight this is, and that is a really good thing to be reporting to all of you, because I cannot believe I'm actually holding a Surface Pro computer here. And even though it does have Ultrabook innards, this is just wild. Basically, I'm trying to decide if this is going to replace my Sony Duo 13, which is comparable in terms of performance, but not form factor, because even with the type cover, the Surface Pro 3 weighs in at 2.4 pounds. My Sony is a little under 3. The MacBook Air 13-inch, you're looking at a little under 3. So this really is basically the only device of its kind right now, and with Microsoft's build quality, Windows 8.1 out of the box, the revamped cameras as I mentioned, the new aspect ratio, and that new high-res display, we've bumped up to 2160 by 1440 with this 3:2 aspect ratio display that's moving away from the 16 by 9 aspect ratio. They've also changed the pen technology, which I'll be getting to. But let's go around the tablet. You can see right up here that 5 megapixel camera that's been revamped. The Windows button also has been relocated. You may have noticed that. If I take you around the left-hand side of the tablet, let me go ahead and actually move the box over. Actually, you know what? Before I even go around the tablet, let's finish the contents of the box, because as I just mentioned, a big piece of the revamp was the pen technology, and now we have a completely different stylus. This is an n-trig pen. They've moved away from Wacom. I'm not sure if that'll be a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, initial reports are claiming that it's very good. They have done some integration with the pen that's more unique this generation, which I think was definitely warranted. Here is last gen's pen, which again is a Wacom stylus. This is n-trig, and that will make the comparison for me and anyone who's interested, with comparing this to something like the Duo 13 even more compelling, because the Duo 13 does use n-trig for their writing as well. Little paperwork here, if I can get it out of there, and essentially a battery right there for the stylus. Basically some instructions telling you on how to insert the battery. And so then we've also got the actual power brick right here, which I'm expecting to look a lot like the previous generation, and also hopefully give us that additional USB port for charging a peripheral like your cell phone, which is always a smart thing for manufacturers to include, and I don't know why more do not do it these days. Looks like it's caught up in here somewhere. See if I can get this out without too much hassle. Here we go. So there's half of the power brick, and the other half slowly making its way out here. There we go. So essentially what you're looking at here is pretty much identical to the previous generation. And thankfully, as I mentioned before, it does have a USB port right there. So you do have the ability to power, charge another device while you're charging your Surface Pro 3. So there is the balance, at least, of the contents of the box. And that is it. So let me get the box out of the way, and let's get to the tablet itself. So again, I'm just blown away by how lightweight this is for a 12-inch device. We've also got front-firing speakers now right here as well, which is pretty nice. Another change in the design, and that's what this version is really all about. Not that we got a new processor, because we really didn't, but that Microsoft has really completely from the ground up redesigned this device. So right at the top of the back of the device, you can see we have one of the two brand new 5-megapixel webcams capable of 1080p video capture. We also have the new kickstand, which has two pry points like the previous generations on the left and right side, Surface branding right here in the middle, and not quite 180 degrees of flexibility, but very close. And instead of being or operating in steps like the Surface Pro 2, this has resistance throughout the range. So it's really going to give you finite control for wherever or however you're trying to position this. We've got our micro SD card slot right here on the left-hand side of the device, which does get covered or concealed by the kickstand. A notation of the actual storage, or the configuration, I should really say, of your Surface Pro 3, and some Windows 8 Pro branding. Go ahead and close that up. And I do wonder if that'll lose a bit of its resistance over time, but it does seem pretty good. But this is early on, to say the least. The right-hand side of the device is where pretty much all of the action is. You can see at the top of the right side we have our mini display port for video out. Next to that is the single USB 3.0 port. Then to the right of that is the brand new charging port, which is also one of the big areas of improvement, or at least I expect, considering the difficulty, even though many didn't necessarily it wasn't a make or break feature, but in Gen 1 and 2, charging the charging port certainly could have been a little bit more seamless and less prone to accidentally scratch the device. So that has been rectified, or at least that's what I've heard. Moving around the top of the device, pretty clean, a lot of ventilation, just like the previous generation, even though this is much thinner and lighter with the added size. Power button right here on the top left-hand side. Moving over to the left-hand side of the device, you can see we've got our 3.5mm headphone jack right there, and then the volume rocker, and the other pry point for the kickstand. And that is pretty much it. I mean, at the bottom we have the connection port for the type cover, and possibly a dock in the future. I believe that's coming out as well. And that is just one of the cleanest looking computers, dare I say it, because it is a PC after all, that I have ever seen. And the Surface Pro 1 and 2 also fit that bill, but they just didn't have this form factor, didn't have the bump up in just about everything else. So really compelling in terms of what the Surface Pro 3 has to offer, but there is a price to match that brand new, incredible group or set of specifications that it brings to the table. Basically, I want to just wrap this unboxing up with some expectations and discuss a little bit about pricing. So we can start out with that lowest end $799 configuration, the i3. The i3 was never available in the Surface Pro line before. And you've got 64 gigs of storage in there, 4 gigs of RAM. Really, I only recommend that model if you absolutely must have the Surface Pro 3 and budget is a major concern. Otherwise, I would stay as far away from that base model as possible. The 128 gig or 256 i5 that we're looking at here, far better options. Of course, I do recommend, as you may have noticed from this video, the version I'm looking at here, because 8 gigs of RAM, better to have it than not, simply for future-proofing purposes, because nothing on these tablets can be upgraded. Everything is soldered, built in, and as a result, what you have is what you're going to have for the life of the product. You will not be upgrading this, so keep that in mind. The Other models, stepping up beyond this, the i7, here's my problem with that. Even though they are faster processors, the solid-state storage I'm not going to debate, more is more. But when it comes to the actual low-voltage 4th Gen Haswell chips that we're dealing with here, the performance gap is marginal. And since this isn't going to be a machine for video encoding or running heavy, crazy tasks that you would need a much more powerful laptop with, that's where, to me, I can't justify the jump to the i7, even in the 256 gig capacity. Forget about the 512. So I think this is the right price. That's why I mentioned at the beginning of the video, for those of you interested in my opinion of the pricing spectrum right now for the Surface Pro 3, because look, they're all expensive for what they are. This really is an ultrabook at heart, but the fact that it's in the form of a tablet, which nothing else is like right now. You just cannot. There are a lot of attempts to be this good or do what Microsoft has done here, but none of them really, at the end of the day, come close. And I know that from personal experience. Now, the Surface Pro 3 is the first version of Surface Pro, I will say, that actually has made me feel that they've come to a point where they can dethrone a device like the Duo 13, and that's because we got the extra screen real estate. We got a bump up in the actual design, ergonomics. I mean, this is a far more practical device to use when you think about the fact that Surface Pro 1 and 2 were 2 pounds alone, and this is 1.7, yet has a larger display. Of course, we didn't get an increase in terms of our options of functionality across the device, but battery life is improved, 9 hours now. I mean, I remember when the 2nd gen launched, and even the 1st gen, they didn't even want to talk about battery life. Now we have a true, I would say, somewhere between 7 and 9 hours, depending on usage. So all of the upgrades really do speak to the polish and maturation that Microsoft needed in order to make the Surface Pro line a complete success. Now, whether or not it will be, of course, we'll wait and see. But right now, from what I can see, fit and finish, focusing on the pen, which I'll be doing some updates and videos on for those of you that are curious, students, anyone interested in design, any creative individual that wants to draw, you're going to want to know how this performs compared to Surface Pro or Surface Pro 2, because those are going to be even further discounted at this point. Surface Pro 2, not so much. It started, but of course the Surface Pro has been discontinued for some time now and can still be had for a song on any given day. So a lot riding on the Surface Pro 3 for Microsoft, but this is, again, the first Pro that has really caught my eye in a way that I could legitimately tell you that with the type cover, it could actually replace my Duo 13. Now, it's not going to replace something like my XPS 15 or the Razer Blade 14, but if you're dealing with ultrabook type tasks, I don't see anything that comes close to this. So it's sad that Microsoft has to even pitch this as a replacement or a better option than the MacBook Air, because it simply takes a dump on the MacBook Air in every way. I mean, I think that if Apple produced their iPad Pro, they certainly would kill it, but they haven't done it yet for whatever reason. They're probably worried about cannibalizing more of their own business since they don't really expand their product line. But what Microsoft has done here, kudos to them. It seems like they finally have gotten a design, or at least the beginning of a design, that's going to make this product a must-have for just about every walk of life, every individual, whether you're a pro, a student, just someone looking to replace their laptop. This really does fit the mold for just about everyone. Pricing is the only thing it has to compete with, but since the MacBook Air is the standard pricing, considering how much more, I would say, intriguing this product is, how much more useful, and the fact that it really can double as a tablet. I mean, the weight here, I'm shocked still, folks, that it really is light enough to be a tablet. I'm not saying I would want to hold it, but the kickstand built in takes care of that in many ways all on its own. And when you see the type cover and how they've changed that and the functionality there in order to make this more of a lap-capable device so it can really wear the badge of laptop and not just be a tablet that tries to be one, that's where I think Microsoft has really, from the ground up, redesigned this thing to properly be used rather than just be a great concept, which it was in the first and second generation. So a lot to like here. Again, higher res, larger display, new aspect ratio, better cameras, Bluetooth 4.0, Wi-Fi, ABG, and N. Of course, that's 802.11, and we also have AC connectivity. But you're not going to get things like NFC. Those are things that aren't going to be here. No mention to my knowledge of wireless display on this, but I could be wrong. But that pretty much wraps it up. I know I said a quick unboxing, but as most of you know that subscribe, my videos are always detail-oriented. So I hope everyone enjoyed. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. And of course, as usual, please feel free to subscribe. Later.